The Witcher is one of Netflix's crowning glories. The show has broken countless viewership records and is a part of the top 10 most watched shows of all time on the streaming site. The show was recently renewed for a third season, and ever since it went into production, fans have been keeping an eagle eye on any news from the sets. We'll be discussing one such morsel of information in today's video, starting with the photos in question. A popular Witcher fan page, Redanian Intelligence, is known for keeping a close eye on the cast and crew's happenings. It's from them that we've caught a photo set of Gerald from the upcoming third season of the show. But what's happening in the photos? The photos show Gerald of Rivia, played by Henry Cavill, in battle. Gerald and his opponent are fighting on a vast sandy beach. Gerald wears his usual black pants and shirts, with his signature silver hair half tied up. His opponent is the sorcerer Vilgefortz, who wears a long cape and wields what seems to be a long spear. Gerald wields a sword. The pictures are taken as aerial shots, and we can also make out the filming crew following them around with their cameras and mics. They add quite a surreal touch to the sequence. And talking about the backstory, the scene is a recreation of a major fight from the books. The fight is from the Time of Contempt novel from the Witcher series. In the passage, Gerald fights the Rogavine sorcerer after the latter tries to convince him to join the winning side in the war between Nilfgaard and the Northern Kingdoms. Gerald, being apolitical as always, denies, and thus says no to Vilgefortz, enraging him. The two fight it out as Gerald tries to keep the sorcerer occupied long enough to allow Ciri to escape from the area. The fight was a major event in the novels, as it left Gerald badly wounded and is counted as his first major defeat. In fact, the battle was so intense that Gerald barely escaped with his life. That too with the aid of Triss Merigold and Tissia de Vries. Afterwards, Tissia de Vries even committed suicide upon realizing how wrong she was in blindly supporting Vilgefortz. And there's another one. Surprisingly, the pictures of Gerald fighting Vilgefortz are not the only photos from the set we've received. Another picture of Henry on set has been making the rounds, but this one tells us much less about the events of the upcoming third season. The photo shows Henry in full Gerald attire, walking towards a scene in a grassy field with his phone in his hand. While the picture doesn't tell us much about the events of the third season, it does form an interesting juxtaposition. The image of Henry in full medieval attire, wearing leather pants and a black dress shirt, forms an interesting contrast with the phone in his hand. The latter seems out of place in the historical setting. And now, let's discuss some new and returning cast. Henry Cavill will quite obviously return as Gerald, along with Anya Chalotra as Yennefer and Freya Allan as Ciri. They will be joined by Joey Beatty, Eamon Farron, Mianna Buring, Anna Schaefer, Mimi M. Kayissa, Mahesh Jadoo, Tom Canton, and Kim Bodnia. The returning cast will be joined by some new additions as well, which include Robbie Amell, Menjur Zhang, Hugh Skinner, and Christelle Elwyn. Finally, let's have a quick reminder on where Season 2 left off, starting with what our main trio went through. The final episode of Season 2 of The Witcher saw Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer in Kaer Morhen, where Ciri got possessed by the demon, the Deathless Mother. In her possessed state, she killed off a number of Witchers and was about to kill Geralt's mentor, Vesemir. Geralt stops her at the last moment and barely saves her from his mentor's wrath. The group get the demon out of her, after which it possesses Yennefer, but while it's still weak and adjusting, Ciri blasts it into the monolith on Kaer Morhen. The trio are pulled through as well because of the strong magic, and they end up on what seems to be a different dimension. Think Dune on LSD. On the strange planet, the trio are confronted by a group of grisly soldiers astride demonic horses. Witcher fans would know them as the Headless Hunt. They ask Ciri to join them as she's of elder blood. Ciri gets the trio out of there and back to Kaer Morhen, where they set out to the magical fortress of Aretuza, where Geralt will be able to protect Ciri better and Yen will be able to train her in magic. Speaking of the elven problem, on the elves side, Francesca is mourning her dead child, who she believes the Redanians murdered. In a fit of rage, she curses every human child in Redania, murdering them all. And war's a brewin'. At the end of the sequence, Istrid is caught lingering, and he tells Francesca that Ciri is of elder blood. The knowledge comes as a shock to Francesca. Francesca and the elves will now start looking for her because they believe those of elder blood will be the saviors of the elves, and thus must be protected at all costs. Plus, the white flame angle. Another revelation that came at the end of the season was that Francesca's child was was not killed by the Redanians. It was actually killed by the White Flame, the ruthless leader of Nilfgaard, who had been mentioned quite some time in the season. But this time, we're shown his face, and he turns out to be Emir var Emrys, formerly known as Duny, Ciri's father. And we found out about Dijkstra's owl. Throughout the season, we've seen the Redanian spymaster Dijkstra conversing with an owl. In the final episode, we find out that the owl isn't just any owl. It's actually a beautiful woman. And it turns out to be no ordinary woman, but the sorceress Philippa. Old Witcher fans will know her to be a powerful character, crucial to the story. In the final instance, Dijkstra tells Philippa to bring him the bard, adding that it's time he pays back his benefactors. This means that Dijkstra has had a spy on Gerald and Ciri all this time, and it's none other than our humble, coin-tossing Jaskier. Wait, what? Ending on everyone following Ciri. One thing was established quite well in the season, and it was the fact that just about everyone was looking for Ciri. As we know, Dijkstra is looking for Ciri because he wants to marry her off to his king. Doing so would give Redania control over Cintra. The Brotherhood of Sorcerers doesn't want this union to happen at any cost, so they put a bounty on Ciri's head. It's worth noting here that Vilgefortz is part of the Brotherhood, and the stills we've seen could very well be him trying to collect the bounty and Geralt trying to stop him. He's joined by Lydia, his secretary and a sorceress, who lost half of her face and ability to speak while under the tutelage of the mage Reince. Lydia speaks only telepathically now, so we don't know yet what she's planning with Vilgefortz, but it looks like we'll find out soon enough. Based on the scene the trio saw after going through the monolith, we know the Wild Hunt, formerly known as the Wraiths of Morhog, are also after Ciri and her magical blood. It's the same magical blood that has put her on the radar of Francesca and the elves, though we can at least breathe a sigh of relief on that end, since they don't immediately want to behead or betroth her. We still don't know why the White Flame is looking for Ciri and what his motivation will be to find her, but since he's her dad, it's expected that he wants to be reunited with his long-lost daughter. Now, we don't know if he'll be the doting father, Duny, to Ciri, or the ruthless leader of Nilfgaard, Emir van Emrys, to the princess of Nilfgaard. So, Ciri has got a lot of people looking for her, and Geralt and Yennefer are well aware of this as they travel to Aretuza, hoping to hide her in the magical fortress and train her simultaneously. But what they don't know is that Aretuza has become a den of political corruption and hunger for power, so they don't know what they're stepping into. It might just be a case of out of the frying pan into the fire, but we'll just have to wait for the release of Season 3, which looks to be coming around late 2023, to find out more about our favorite trio. Until then, we'll just stare a bit longer at the set photos we've been blessed with. After all, Henry does look super hot as Geralt, all buff and battle-worn. Phew, that's a wrap for this video. How do you think Geralt and Vilgefortz's battle will play out in The Witcher Season 3? Do you think the scene will be altered or shared as it was written in the book? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.